Long Island Paranormal Investigators proudly presents Ghost News Network. Your hosts are Michael Carnudo, Robert Levine, and Demetrius Haratos. And now, this week's edition of Ghost News Network.
Hello and welcome to the Ghost News Network. Today is October 26, 2014. As always, I am your host, Dimitri Haratos, along with
Michael Carnudo.
That's it. We're Skeleton Crew today.
Yeah, we are.
No Nancy. No Mike next week.
Right.
Mike's running away. Rob's still having babies. And and so this is where we're at now. So hope everyone out there in the ether is doing well.
Yup.
And got a great show ahead of us for today. We have our urban myth and legend. We're going to talk about Fairfield Marriott Hotel in Warwick, Rhode Island. We're going to discuss our air ion theory. We are going to be going over our equipment review, which is something simple. We're sticking with easy things, flashlights this week. This week in paranormal history, October 26th in 1864, Bloody Bill Anderson is killed. Nancy is not here, so I will be giving you the social street today,
Nice.
which is going to be an article on the Pollock twins that was submitted to us by one of our fellow investigators, Shannon. Answer some fan questions, and we're going to talk about the movie Annabelle that we saw. And then we also have the Lippy Evidence Vault, and we're continuing our Mount Misery Road. Last week we played part 1 of the I'm Burning, and this week we're going to jump to the part 2 of it, which
Nice.
is a little bit longer. So, and that's what we have. But Mike, what's new in the world of Long Island Paranormal?
Same old. Our probationary class is doing pretty good. We working on voting for Best of Long Island. Those of you that don't know, we have been nominated for Long Island Press Best of Long Island. It's under the categories of services, and we're listed for 3 things. We have Best Private Investigator. So if you want to vote for us, I'll give you the info right now. It's http://bestof.longislandpress.com. You can go on our website, you can go on our Facebook page, it's all there. You can just go on the longislandpress.com and kind of find it that way as well. But yeah, we're listed under categories. It's under services, and we're nominated for 3 things. For private investigator, you would see our name, Long Island Paranormal Investigators. Under psychic, our psychic Shannon Collins has also been nominated, and website-based business for www.liparanormalinvestigators.com. So you're allowed to vote once a day, every day. So please help us out and try to get us that win. So we got that going on. What else? In a week from now, we have somebody coming down to our office. One of our old members, one of his friends, was working with the spirit box, and he asked, if we've ever worked with it before, and which we haven't. We're going to start doing a lot of that as of the new year. But he wants to bring his stuff down. He's been doing 7-8 minute sessions, and he's captured some interesting things through the recorder that he wants us to kind of take a look at. So he'll be coming down this week. So it should be pretty interesting to kind of go over that and kind of get a feel for what that sounds like, and if how easy it is to debunk and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of interested in seeing all that. What else? We're gonna start setting up our trip schedule shortly, which should be pretty good. So yeah, what else we got going on here?
Not too much in stone right now. I know I'm working on a couple of conventions that we're supposed to hopefully do some presentations at, or
Very
some
good,
panels.
very
There's HorrorCon that is going to be in, I think it's 88 days. I forget the exact date.
Okay.
Sometime in January, I
Nice.
believe. And in December, there is another convention. These are all run by the same guy who does EternalCon. It's called WinterCon. And it's run by that guy and Mike Cabo, who used to run the Long Island Toy Show. I'm sorry. Used to run the Big Apple convention in Manhattan.
Wow.
So we're talking to them and seeing if we can find some space for us to be and stuff like that.
Very cool. Very cool.
And yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead, Mike? We'll jump into our urban myth and legend.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
Urban Myth and Legend is the Fairfield Marriott Hotel in Warwick, Rhode Island. I believe this hotel actually got bought out. It was off of it was in Warwick, Rhode Island. I think it was off of exit 15 off the I-95. I think it was like Jefferson Avenue or Jefferson Boulevard. I think it's a La Quinta now, but it was bought out. But it doesn't mean the activity and stuff isn't still there. So the history is that the Fairfield Marriott Hotel in Warwick is a very unusual place. The lower basement level, floor 5, is actually it's the basement level. So if you go into the elevator and you hit floor 5, you actually go to the basement. It's really weird how it goes. And then floor, like obviously 1, 2, 3, and 4 are regular, but that was kind of interesting and weird how they have it set up. Paranormal history. Basically, the paranormal. This hotel is said to be haunted by 2 ghosts. First, the third floor room 316 was said to be haunted by a spirit of a young woman who committed suicide in the hotel. EVPs have been recorded in various rooms. Second, on the lower level, 5th floor, the ghost of an old man who died in room 506 on the lower level said to wander the hallway. Guests have reported seeing an old man walk up to them, open his mouth, and to speak, but nothing comes out. Some report the man is dressed as a farmer. Shadows have been reported in the hallway as well. Fortunately, heavy electrical interference from the elevator equipment housed in the lower level makes EMF and other electronic sensors useless for paranormal investigation on this level. Now, we actually investigated this hotel, I think, 3 times. Twice was with a convention with ghost hunters and taps, and the other time we did on our own. We actually were able to book the 2 haunted rooms, which was 316 and 506, and we did some investigating in those rooms. We really didn't catch much, maybe like a Class C EVP at best, nothing crazy, but in room 316, we did realize something that was interesting. Now, the storyline is said that a woman committed suicide in that room. So we were kind of looking around. We're like, all right, well, she committed suicide. And I think the way she committed suicide, they said, was a gunshot. She shot herself. So we're like, all right, well, if she shot herself, say that the hotel didn't change the carpet, there's definitely going to be a blood stain somewhere or something. What we realized was that there's when you look at the carpet and around like the bottom on the walls, there's like a border of carpet as well. The 2 did not match, and when we looked in the other room that we had, which was room 506, they did match. So that was kind of odd. We feel that something was changed in the room. We think the carpet was probably changed in the room, and they never changed the border. The border was still the same, so it didn't match. So that was kind of interesting. There were the claims of room 506 is that you'll hear like a knocking on the door, and when you open the door, you'll feel like a gust of wind, like as of like something walked past you. We didn't really come across anything like that at all. So, but it was definitely a cool investigation. It was cool to be there investigating with the team from Ghost Hunters and Taps, but it was also pretty cool when we were there by ourselves as well. It was a little different, but we had a good time doing it. Like I said, it's not the Fairfield Inn anymore. I think it's La Quinta. I think they bought it out. So but I don't know if they did a whole new remodel of the place or what happened, but I don't know if any more claims are still coming from the place or not, but there you have it. Cool place.
Awesome.
It's different.
More people are starting to see the child upstairs in my house.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's starting to become legit now.
Nice.
My sister-in-law finally saw me. He has the little. I have a ghost child up in my hallway. It just hangs out.
Rock on.
So
Good stuff.
it's good.
Shadows?
No, I have a ghost spirit. You see him all the time in my hallway.
Let's see, maybe the shadow from Mike's house came here.
No, it's not a shadow person. I see
Yeah,
it. I
right?
see it as like it looks like a kid. Looks like a little kid. He was running through the hallway one day. I was washing dishes. I thought it was one of my kids running. I got out and I walked to go yell at my son, tell him to stop running through the house, and then they're like, "Daddy, I'm sitting on the couch." I turn around, they're both sitting down.
Wow.
So I was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
That's pretty crazy. Nice.
When my dad came over last week, he was poking his head around the corner from my office,
Nice.
and my dad's like, "Is the kids down in there?" I was like, "The kids are right behind you, Dad."
Nice.
And Johnny's in school already.
That's pretty crazy.
So, and then Dana saw it last night. She's like, "I
Really?
think I saw something flash by in the hallway." Yeah, he hangs out there.
That's pretty awesome. Good stuff.
I try to ignore it in my house.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then, I don't know if Shannon told you, Shannon and one of the other new girls that's psychic
Okay.
both saw a child down in here hanging out when we were doing our thing.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So, or they sensed them or something, I don't know.
That's cool. That's
Yep,
cool.
yep.
Not bad.
That's what we got. But,
Good stuff.
alright, so moving on. Theory of the week. And today's theory is the air ion theory, as I said. There's a couple different theories with the air ion theory. First theory is, if there's a ghost present, it may have an effect on the ions in the air by disrupting the natural or man-made ion counts in the air. Theory 2 is that when a ghost tries to manifest, it needs to take in some form of energy by drawing either positive or negative ions out of the air, and ghosts may be able to use that to manifest. And ion, just so people know what an ion is, it's an atom or a group of atoms or molecule that has acquired or is regarded as having acquired a net electric charge by gaining electrons in or losing electrons from an initially electrical neutral configuration. That's a definition straight out of the American Heritage Dictionary. Just as a safety warning, many scientists have done studies of positive and negative ions. They have discovered that negative ions have a positive effect on humans and positive ions have a negative effect on humans. Some of the side effects caused by high positive ion count are as follows: violent behavior, road rage, depression, dizziness, chills, tremors, sleepiness, fatigue, irritability, nausea, lethargy, respiratory systems, headaches, migraines, increase in heart attack, high blood pressure, increase in optical disturbances, anxiety, body pains, aches, etc. So basically, everything that I have is explained right here.
Nice.
So apparently I suffer from positive ion exposure.
There you go.
But that's what it is, and I always think it's funny because I know people watch like the movie Ghostbusters and stuff like that, and you know, obviously it's funny and it's on the side of fantasy and stuff like that. But when they did their research, Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, and they talk about it in the beginning of the movie, the way they're walking back and heading to Columbia University from the library, they talk about a ghost and its ionization rate, and that if it's constant, that's why you can capture ghosts and Ghostbusters. So it's a theory that we have and we use in the field, and obviously they got that information back then when they made the movie from this theory. So it's interesting.
Nice.
It would be interesting to find out all ghosts have the same ion rate, have some kind of a constant.
That
It'd
would
be
be
crazy.
pretty crazy, definitely.
But
Definitely would.
yeah, just thought I'd mention that because I love Ghostbusters.
Nice.
So there. But yeah, so it's pretty cool stuff. I love how Rocco comes in and he's trying so carefully to be silent as he walks in. Tries to sit and not make any sound and closes.
Yeah.
Dylan comes in like a freaking bull in a china shop, slamming through everything.
Yeah.
Loud blowing of the nose.
Nice.
Say hi, Crispy Dylan.
What's going on?
How about you, Rocco? You want to say hello?
Hello.
Say hi to the internets. All right, so next we have our equipment review, and that is flashlights. And that's all, Mike. Because
Flashlights.
he's the only person here who knows how to use flashlights.
You know it. Uh-oh. There it is.
Yeah, it's on the next
I'm
page.
like, where is it? Alright, so flashlights. Yeah. You wouldn't think there's a big deal about flashlights, but we make it a big deal, of course. Well, as you know, when you are paranormal investigating, everyone pretty much uses flashlights. It's a common thing to use. Some kind of do's and don'ts with flashlights. Ideally, when you're investigating, you probably want to use something that's like dimmed out with like a red tip or a green tip. And there's multiple reasons for this. Number one reason is that it's easier on your eyes when you're investigating. A lot of times when you're investigating, sometimes you'll turn out a light. You know, you'll go completely dark, and maybe you'll have like a K2 meter or a motion sensor sitting there, you know, so you're completely dark, you know, and you're doing an EVP session. And, you know, sometimes if you hear something or whatever it might be, you might turn the flashlight on, you know, so if it's red tipped or green tipped, you know, it's not going to be too hard on your eyes. Whereas if you have an LED flashlight and you turn that on, you're going to, you know, you're going to blind yourself. And then when you go lights out again, you're going to be completely dark. You're not going to be able to see anything. Your vision's going to have to take a little bit of time to adjust and, you know, back to try to see at night. So that's, you know, it's a little do and don't with using flashlights. They do also make, I actually have one, it's pretty cool, it's a UV light, which isn't bad. If you have video cameras and stuff, that'll definitely help enhance the view of your video cameras that have night shot. But you know, using UV light is definitely pretty cool. There is a theory out there, reason why like people use like full spectrum cameras and stuff like that, where, you know, if a ghost is starting to manifest, you're not going to see with the naked eye. You know, you're going to need some type of light source, whether it be infrared light or, you know, in this case it would be UV light, and that's what would basically allow you to see it, because the reflection of that light source. That's why when they talk about full spectrum cameras, you're taking all spectrums of light, shooting it out there and hoping something comes back and you're able to see it. So that's something you can also use, like UV light. You can use an IR light, anything like that would be pretty cool. So, but the other reason with flashlights, say if you're out investigating urban legends like we do, say if you're in a cemetery, when you're probably, you know, if you're at there at nighttime, you're not supposed to be there. There's no such thing as, you know, getting a free pass into a cemetery at night. It is trespassing. Local law enforcement, depending on how strict they are with it. But if you are using a flashlight that's got like a red tip on it, it's harder to see you from a distance. So somebody passing by on the road is not really going to see you in the cemetery if you have one of those flashlights, as opposed to, you know, if your entire team has those LED flashlights and they're shining them out, you can spot exactly where the person is. So just a little tip, if you want more information on flashlights and stuff, you can go on the website www.liparanormalinvestigators.com. If you have any input or you want any questions or comments, feel free to email us anytime. You can throw us a message on Facebook as well. So
We also do the flashlight test with it.
we do the flashlight test.
I don't like the flashlight test.
Yeah, I guess we'll bring that up. The flashlight test.
I have mixed feelings about the flashlight
As you
test.
see on, here we go. As you see on TV, you know, they use flashlights, and I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not going to sit here, but I am going to say that it is for entertainment purposes only. It's TV. It's Hollywood, and they, a lot of times, you know, they'll set up 3 flashlights. One is like a control, and they'll have one set for yes, the other one set for no. So if you want, you know, you're going to ask yes and no questions. If you know, whatever the answer is, it's going to light up one flashlight for the yes flashlight, and the other one will light up for the no flashlight, and that's as a form of response. Just from watching the TV shows, if I was investigating and I had 3 flashlights out in front of me, I have a control in the middle, I have one for yes, one for no, and I'm sitting here and I'm having a conversation with whatever's there, and this thing is turning a flashlight on, turning it off, turning a different one on, turning it off, I would be ecstatic about it. I would probably shit a brick, okay? Because that would be like, you know, they'll ask a question, you know, are you so-and-so? Poof, yes. Okay, can you turn that off now? Boom, goes off. Was your birth date this day? Poof, yes. Okay, can you turn that off? And they'll get like 3 or 4 yeses and a no, and then they'll turn around and say, all right, well, let's just see if it's a coincidence. My age is this. Is that true? Poof, no. Okay, you can turn that one off. Poof, off. So, I don't know. To me, I just think it's faked. And some people are like, well, how do you fake that? And I think it's as simple as a device inside the flashlight that is hooked up to a different radio frequency. So your yes flashlight is radio frequency A, and your no flashlight is radio frequency B, and your neutral flashlight is radio frequency C. And there's somebody in the back, you know, with a clicker or whatever it may be, and when they want that thing to say yes, they hit it, and bam, the flashlight goes on. You hit it again, and it goes off. It's not, the technology's there. I mean, it's not that complicated. You know, you're talking, you have radio, you know, remote control cars that you can have 5 of the same one, but my remote control doesn't control any of the 4. It controls this one because the radio frequency chip that's in there is different than all other 5 or other 4. It's very simple technology. That's what I think is going on here. Not to throw anyone under the bus, but you know, that's that. When you do the flashlight trick, and we have done it, we've set up 1 flashlight, and we'll ask, you know, if you're here with us, can you turn it on? You know, so on and so forth. Now, in the past, we have gotten some possible things, but you have to look at the whole scenario. One of the places we were at was in Gateway Playhouse, and we had the flashlight set up in the old theater on the stage. Now the stage is wood, okay? It takes 2 vibrations very easily. So there could have been a car or a truck passing by outside on the main highway. You don't feel it, but the wood, all you need is that little vibration to turn that flashlight on. And we were not getting direct responses. Could it have been a coincidence that we said, is anybody here? And then all of a sudden it goes on. And then when we asked for it to go off, it would take a little bit of time. You know, so it wasn't like a direct response. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to hear more about people's stories with this. See if they legitimately got anything, but I don't
know when we did a private residence that I was leading, and Dylan was in my group.
Say that.
And we set up 1 flashlight, and we got what could be some responses, and it piqued my interest.
Okay.
So I took out a secondary flashlight, and I put 2 flashlights out.
Right.
And I was asking it to turn one on for one answer, the other one for the other answer, and I was trying to get it to do what I wanted it to do.
Right.
And then at that point, it couldn't do one or the other. One would kind of go off, and I said, well, if that is you, can you make that flash 5 times?
Right.
But it could only make the 1 flashlight move. So I'm just assuming it was a connection issue.
Right.
So I ended up throwing it away. Unfortunately, the homeowner was sitting in their room with me when I was asking the questions.
Yeah.
And they took it the other way, but she was very understanding of my reasoning and stuff like that. Those clients were fantastic. So,
nice.
But yeah, I mean, you guys just got to be careful with flashlights. The other thing is you're turning it on and unscrewing the cap. It only needs a little push for the electricity to jolt over and move it. And you know, you might not feel it, but the Earth goes through millions of earthquakes. Not millions, that's exaggerating, but tons of earthquakes a day. And they're very miniature, but that could just be all you need to make a flashlight turn on when it's barely unscrewed. Right. You know, so
absolutely,
it's very tricky. Now, if I put on a shut-off flashlight and the knob moves and it turns on, then we've got a different story going on. But until then, my thoughts of the flashlight trick are not very high, although I constantly test the theory.
Right.
Well, that's what we do.
Absolutely.
It's the name of the game. Alright, so that's the flashlight. Like Mike said, if you have any more questions about that or you want to see any of the other paranormal places that we investigate or anything like that, you can go to our website, www.liparanormalinvestigators.com, and check it out over there. Now we have This Week in Paranormal History. And what happened today, you ask? Well, somebody died, as usual, because this is paranormal field.
There you go.
Alright, so October 26th in 1864, the outlaw known as Bloody Bill Anderson is killed. So, he was a notorious Confederate guerrilla leader. His name was William Bloody Bill Anderson, was killed in Missouri in a Union ambush. He was born in the late 1830s. Anderson grew up in Missouri and moved to Kansas in the late 1850s. Arriving to settle on his father's land claim east of Council Grove, Anderson was soon enmeshed in a bitter fight over slavery that gave the area the nickname Bleeding Kansas. Before the Civil War, he trafficked stolen horses and escorted wagon trains along the Santa Fe Trail. When the war broke out, Anderson joined an anti-slavery pro-union band of guerrillas known as the Jayhawkers. He soon switched sides and joined a band of pro-Confederate bushwhackers in the partisan warfare of Kansas and Missouri. These groups were often more interested in robbery, looting, and personal gain other than the advancement of the political cause of the time. Now, after his father was killed in a dispute in 1862, Anderson and his brother Jim gunned down the killer and then moved back to western Missouri. Anderson became the head of a band of guerrillas, and his activities cast a shadow of suspicion over the rest of his family. The Union commander along the border, General Thomas Ewing, arrested several wives and sisters of another notorious band led by William Quintrill. And he was terrorizing and murdering Union sympathizers. While Anderson commanded his own band, he often collaborated with Quintrill's larger forces. As a result, the group Ewing arrested also included 3 of Anderson's sisters, who were imprisoned in a temporary Union jail in Kansas, Missouri. On August 14, 1863, the structure collapsed, killing one of his sisters, along with several other women. Quintrill assembled more than 400 men to exact revenge against the abolitionist community of Lawrence, Kansas. On August 21st, the band killed at least 150 residents and burned much of the town to the ground. Anderson was credited with having 14 murders that day. Yeah. Because that's what you wanna be known for, is how many people you've killed. There's like frighteners. All right. Anderson went to Texas that winter, married, and returned to Missouri in 1864 with a band of about 50 fighters. He embarked on a summer of violence, leading his group on a campaign that killed hundreds and caused extensive damage. The climax came on September 27th, when Anderson's gang joined with several others to pillage the town of Centralia, Missouri. When more than 100 Union soldiers pursued them, the guerrillas ambushed and massacred the entire detachment. Just a month later, on October 26th, Anderson's band was caught in a Union ambush outside of Albany, Missouri, and Anderson was then killed. The body of the bloody, drenched savage, as he became known in the area, was placed on public display. Anderson kept a rope to record his killings, and there was reportedly 54 knots in it at the time of his death.
Wow.
So that is... Can't imagine where the name Bloody Bill would come from. You know?
Without a doubt.
Alright, so now that we know what a sick fuck this guy was, let's get into his paranormal claims. Today, many believe that the ghost of Bloody Bill appears every year at his grave around Halloween. So, for those of you that are in that area in Missouri and you want to have something to do, maybe go see if you can see Bloody Bill visiting his grave. Don't go at night. It's illegal. No trespassing. There's my warning. Do whatever you want. There's an urban legend that surrounds Bloody Bill. Legend says that Bloody Bill's old house still stands today, and that his spirit roams the countryside around the house, looking to exact his revenge from his death all those years ago. They say if you lie in bed and say his name 10 times, he will appear at the foot of your bed to exact his revenge. It is said that his face appears to be rotten and covered in blood, with his eyes glowing red. He will wait at the end of your bed until you wake up, and then he will come after and kill you the same way that he was killed.
Yeah.
So that's the urban myth, a little twist on the Bloody Mary, I guess.
Yeah.
But who knows? These things may have come from the same place, you know?
Yeah, you never know.
So that is This Week in Paranormal History. And Mike, say something. I need a sip of water. I'm dry mouth over here. Now moving
Okay,
on.
then.
Now moving on.
Damn it.
We have our social street, and since Nancy is not here, I will put on my best stilettos and do my best to fill her shoes.
Nice.
All right, so this week we're taking this comes from Shannon Collins, our psychic of the group. She was talking to me about the Pollock twins and the mystery that involves them, and I told her I thought it was really interesting, and I would just go over the article with you guys and see what everybody else thinks, get your opinion on it, Mike, and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it takes place in Hexham, England. The Pollock family had a very strong case of reincarnation on the 5th of May in 1957, when their daughters Jacqueline, 6, and Joanna, 11, died when a car had knocked them down along with a family friend, Anthony Layden. This all happened when they were on their way to church. John and Florence, the parents, were horrified. John could only pray and hope his daughters would come back. John Pollock believed that his wife would conceive twins, and against all odds, on the 4th of October 1958, Florence gave birth to 2 twins, Jillian and Jennifer. The younger of the twins, Jennifer, had a scar on her forehead down to the bridge of her nose, which was very similar to the scar that she had that the daughter Jacqueline that died had due to her falling off a tricycle. Oh, I'm sorry, not when she died. The deceased Jacqueline had due to falling off the tricycle when she was 2 years old. To make things doubly freaky, Jacqueline also had a birthmark on her left hip, which Jennifer also has in the same place. Coincidence? They're not saying so. They're saying, considering Jacqueline and Jennifer were the young ones of both pairs, it seems Jennifer could very well have been the reincarnation of Jacqueline. When the twin girls were given 2 dolls that used to belong to Jacqueline and Joanna, they both said, "That's Mary and that's Susan." Florence Pollock found it peculiar that they knew the names of the dolls with no knowledge of their names previously. The family eventually moved away from Hexham, but upon returning at a later date to visit one of the twins, they said, "The school is around here that we used to go to, and the playground is around the back." It was impossible for them to know, since the twins had never been to that school. It was only Jacqueline and Joanna that had gone to that school and knew about that playground. So what do you think? You think these twins were reincarnated from their earlier sisters from the same family? The one having the same scar on the face that the other one had from an accident?
I mean,
it's interesting.
It's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
Knowing about a playground you've never been to, and where the playground was and the school was without ever being there, to know.
It's definitely interesting. Is this like a factual story?
I mean, I believe so.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely.
I've heard of the Pollock
like,
twins before.
Right.
So,
No, I mean it's definitely interesting. Do I think, anything's possible? Anything is possible at all. Could it happen? Absolutely. It's definitely a cool storyline.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. It's
great
pretty
story.
interesting. But
let me ask you this: what about the kid that was, reincarnated from somebody that was murdered, and he was able to tell the police who murdered him and where the body was buried, and it was a cold case, and
Right.
the cops found the body and arrested the guy, and the guy confessed to the murder. This was, I forget the name, I don't remember all the details,
Right.
but I remember the story, and I was like, that's crazy.
It's pretty wild. I mean, it definitely is pretty wild. I do think it's possible. Like I said, anything's possible. And I don't know, when you get stories like that, it definitely
Makes you think.
it definitely makes you think. It definitely sparks the interest. But I don't know, it's hard to tell.
Yeah. But cool article.
Definitely cool.
Check it out. You have anything you want to say about it, post on our Facebook page or anything like that. We'd love to hear your questions, and we'll answer them and all that fun stuff.
Sounds good.
But all right, so now we have some fan questions to answer, Mike.
Fan questions.
Fan
Do it up.
questions. First one comes from Olivia G. She says, every night she wakes up to hearing 7 knocks on the wall, and it's always the number 7. Is that significant?
7 knocks. It's every night. That's
Listen,
the
this says
first question. If it's
every
every night and it's consistent, first thing I would do is check and see, is it the same time every night? Second, I remember as a kid growing up, and I'm not saying this is what's happening in your house, but I know every night at the same time the heat would kick on. And I had baseboard heating, and every night when the heat kicked on, as it ran through the pipes that were in my bedroom would bang, and it would be the same thing. It would be like probably about 5 or 6 knocks. That's what it sounded like. But it was the same time every night. Obviously, it wasn't a ghost. It wasn't paranormal. So you got to kind of do a little debunking yourself. You got to see if is it consistent? Is it the same time? Is it something when your heat or your AC unit is kicking on? You'll hear it. You'll know it. You could tell. If you can try to start pinpointing out if it's the same time, and say if it's happening at like 4 o'clock in the morning, where you're probably sleeping at that time and it's probably waking you up. What I would do is, if it's consistent, like I said, the same time every night, I would set an alarm clock. I'd wake up 15 minutes prior to it's supposed to happen, and then wait and listen, and maybe it's your boiler kicked on, and it's just the air passing through the pipes causing it to bang 7 times. That's my advice to you. I would start off with that, and then kind of work your way into it and see, if there's anything else. Does the number 7 have any significance? Not that I would know of. It depends. Every haunting is different. It could be a significance if you have a haunting going on. It could be significant to that specific haunting. But as far as like demonology, and stuff like that, the number 6, it has a significance. The number 13 has a significance, but as far as the number 7, not that
in
I've
religion,
heard.
and depending on the religion, 7 and 3 are very, very important numbers.
Okay.
But depends on your
Depending on the religion.
Yeah.
So, like I said, depending on if it is haunted, it could depend on what type of haunting it is too. And it all depends. Like I said, I'd start small and kind of work your way up and see where you're at.
Yeah, the best bet is to try and, like Mike said, debunk it yourself.
Right.
So. All right, Nick, thank you very much, Olivia. The next question comes from Brian K, and he asks, do bad odors or horrible smells signify an evil or negative entity?
Well, it could. It definitely could. Bad odors, and you're probably talking about like sulfur and rotten eggs. It definitely could. It could signify an evil entity or a negative entity, so on and so forth. But not necessarily. Like I said, like the question before, you kind of have to debunk it and see for yourself. What time is it happening? Is it consistent? Does it come in waves? You understand? For a smell like sulfur or rotten eggs, there are many things that can cause that smell. If you have an attic, say if a possum or a raccoon got in there and died, well, it's decaying and it's going to give that type of smell. Maybe your cesspool piping or your piping from your toilet bowl is, maybe it has a minor leak that you just don't know about, and that's what's causing the smell. So it could be a number of things. They do say that when you talk about demonic activity, that it will give off a sulfur type or rotten eggs type smell. That I believe to be true. And that's just the reason for the smell, is that when you talk about a demon and a demonic presence, it is an evil presence, and it's a disgusting being, basically. And they look horrible, they smell horrible, and that's kind of where that's coming from. So I believe there is truth to that. So yeah, good question.
I have a question. I was just thinking about. Sometimes when people pass away, some people claim to smell like their aunt's favorite perfume or whatever, just as an example.
Right.
But what if somebody that passes away just smelled like shit in life? It's possible you may be getting their smell.
Why not? absolutely.
It doesn't always have to be a nice smell,
I mean,
you know. I mean, as long as I'm being about it. Seriously, though.
No, I mean it's a good point. I mean, if you do, like you said, if you
had really bad gingivitis, you couldn't keep it under control.
Have,
you just smell bad all the time.
You have somebody when they pass away, they used to smoke cigars their whole life, and you smell a cigar smoke. Or you had a person that used to wear heavy perfume, and you smell that perfume smell.
What if you're somebody that doesn't wipe their ass? You just always smell
like
shit.
A body odor type smell. Why not? I don't see why not.
I know I'm poking fun at it a little bit as we discuss it, but it's a valid question.
It's definitely a valid question, without a doubt. I mean, yeah, it's definitely possible.
All right. So now, last but not least, comes from Cynthia, and she asks, ever since I was a kid, I've always seen 3 shadows standing up against my wall watching me. What could they be? They have followed me to different houses.
All right. Well, 3 shadows. I know in the movie White Noise, they show these 3 shadow beings in the background, and it has to do with like demonic and stuff like that. I haven't really. When you talk about shadowy figures, they're not demonics. It's a whole totally different type of haunting. You have demonic, and then you have shadow people, and shadow people are far more different than demonic. A lot of times when it comes to shadow people, I mean, you say that they're standing up against your wall watching you, which is one of the characteristics of a shadow person. They will stand.
Citadel?
They will stand in like the corner of a room watching you, on like the side of a wall watch you, behind a tree and watch you. But once you realize them, they're gone. They disappear. They don't stick around. It's not like you're going to have a staring contest with it. So the first thing you got to kind of do is figure out, all right, well, is it a shadow person? When you notice them, when you do a double take, are they gone? And if the answer is yes, you have a shadow person. And the significance of 3 here, I wouldn't really know it. They do, I guess, you can have a single shadow person, you can have multiple shadow people. I've seen multiple in a location, I've seen single ones in a location, so it all depends. I don't think the number 3 has any significance in this case. As far as them following you to different houses, I mean, is it possible that a shadow person could follow you from house to house? Yeah, I believe it's possible. I mean, I had a shadow person in my old house, and when I first moved in, it wasn't there. And then I did paranormal investigating, and there it was. So it is possible that it could follow you from place to place. It's definitely not out of the ordinary. So. But yeah, like I said, I would definitely, if you notice, when you notice it, is it sticking around watching you back, or is it disappearing and it's gone? If that's the case, like I said, it's shadow person. If it's not and it's sticking around, you're staring at it, it's staring back at you, well, then it could be something else. So
yeah,
good question.
If you find out you need help, email us.
Email us, definitely.
We'll try and direct you, even if you're not local. We'll try and find someone in your area that might be able to help. So. All right, so those are our fan questions. Thank you guys very much. Great questions, and for those of you having experiences, hope you figure them out.
Yeah, without doubt.
Next, we have our Lippy movie review. We finally got to see Annabelle. We've been talking about it since we started the show, and we finally got to see it.
Yeah.
And
I saw it.
Dylan saw it too, so I'm sure he can chime in and give his opinion.
Yep.
We'll try not to spoil it. We'll leave it as spoiler-free as we can. We'll just give you our overall feelings on the movie, and I think mine differs from Mike's a little bit. It tends to, usually, because I'm much more optimistic of a human being than Mike can be. No, I'm just messing with you. All right, so Mike, what did you think of the movie? Hated it? No,
I didn't hate it. Do I think they could have done a better job on it? Yes, without a doubt. I don't understand what Hollywood does in a lot of these cases, where they get an actual storyline of something that really happened, and they take the storyline and they keep like the name, and then they decide to change the entire outline. I don't understand the point of that. Stick to the storyline. You're basing it off of true events, well then base it off of true events, not just one thing.
How closely they follow the story is how much they have to pay for the rights to do the story. That's one of the reasons.
well, if you pay for it, you
Right.
know, you gotta spend money to make money, and you won't be a laughing stock. You gotta understand. In business aspect, if you create a movie and everyone goes to see the movie theaters, that's fantastic. But when you put it on DVD and nobody buys it, you're at a loss. You want to create a movie that people, they can't wait for it to come out on DVD to buy the sale. You know what I'm saying? If you stick to the truth and not do all these flashy things, maybe you make a little bit more money. I don't have a business degree, but you know what? I think people in Hollywood need to get a swift kick in the ass when it comes to that kind of stuff. Overall, the movie was, out of 5 stars, I'd give it maybe a 2 or 3, 2.5. It wasn't horrible. The storyline wasn't bad. It's just they had certain things in the movie happen that just didn't make any sense at all. You know, with the little girl, when she and that's in the coming attraction, so I'm not spoiling it for anybody. She sees a little girl, and she walks over and she turns into an adult figure and then just disappears.
Right.
What does that have to do with anything? It doesn't make any sense.
They're trying to, and I don't want to get into too much spoilers. That's what the woman looked like as a little girl, as you find out in the movie.
I get that.
Right.
Right.
So they're trying to show you that and trying to make the woman think it's something else when it's not.
Right.
But so light spoilers on this, guys. But I mean, I thought it was a cool effect. I thought the way they pulled it off looked good. But I understand what you're saying.
I mean, you know.
And I think they were going for, in that typical scare, they were going for the easement of someone's mind, thinking, oh, it's a child,
Right.
and then it turning into something that scares the crap out of you.
Right.
But yeah, that's just their tricks that they like to do. And I liked the movie. I thought it was good. I wouldn't say too good. It was okay. I've seen worse. I've seen a lot better.
Yeah.
I saw Exit Humanity, and that's me and Rob's baseline for horrible movies.
Right.
But this movie, it was okay. It wasn't bad. And I watch a lot of horror movies when I'm bored and stuff like that. I watch a lot of low-grade horror movies, high-grade horror movies.
Okay.
And this one, it was okay. It's in the middle. If I were to give it stars, I'd probably give it, out of 5, probably 3. I'd put it right in the middle.
Okay.
Now the things
too
that
far off there.
No, I think we have different opinions on what we liked or didn't like about it. Like the things that you were talking about, how Hollywood takes things out of control, and the movie was slow. Don't get me wrong, the pacing was slow.
Right.
The things that I liked about it was that they didn't go overboard in terms of what was connected to the doll and what they showed us of it. It wasn't like that movie Mama that we saw where all of a sudden it just gets weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it stayed consistent.
Right.
Its scares were consistent. It's centered around the doll. It didn't go in another direction that made you be like, well, what the fuck was the point of the doll? You know? Which a lot of movies do.
Right.
They were like, oh, this was a red herring the whole time. Here's something that makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it stuck to that, and it wasn't... It's kind of a catch-22 for me, because either you stick with your storyline and you keep it low grade like they do in, let's say, Signs, or they do in, what's it called, where it's there to freak you out and it's suspenseful,
Right.
but it's not like, oh, now all of a sudden here's 500 aliens and we're watching Independence Day,
Right.
Or it's like this, where they're, what's a good horror example, where they just take it out of control, where it starts and it's kind of like what's that movie?
One of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, where the family gets all weird and then
That was a horrible movie.
No, I think it was the second or the third one.
It was a horrible movie.
Yeah.
Not,
I liked it.
not
Most
a fan
people
of
will
those.
disagree with me. Then your taste.
I didn't like the remakes of the Texas
No, I liked
Chainsaw
it.
Massacre.
I
I like the
old
original.
Yeah.
I don't like the remakes. I don't like the remakes of a lot of these horror movies.
Yeah.
I understand why you remake certain things, but some things I don't. And horror movies are one of them. There's no point to remaking Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
What big angle can you really tell? I mean, just the fantasy about it is what it is. But and I don't tend to like movies that are overly something that can happen. like Human Centipede or Saw. I don't get into those movies.
Right.
I like the first Saw because it was new for the time when it first came out. After that, I was just like, okay, this is played out. Turisto and all this other stuff.
Right.
It's too much. But I liked it. I thought it was okay. I put it middle of the run, three stars. But I just wish it wasn't so slow. I don't know.
Right.
But all right, that's my review. Dylan, what do you want to say about the movie without spoiling it too much?
I liked it. I mean, it was good. I liked the way it went through. You know, how the whole story started from somewhere and it ended somewhere. It didn't really like leave any patches. I have to say one scene that I liked was when she was in the basement doing something and she got a little freaked out, and then she went into the elevator, and the elevator.
Oh, she wasn't in the basement. She was in the attic. She was on the top floor. Yeah.
And she kept trying to go down, and the doors closed, and it made like a little sound, and then it opened again, and she was still on the same floor, and she did it about like 2 or 3 times, and then she was like, I need to get out of here. Like, it just wasn't working. She needed to stay up there.
I gotta tell you, the creature that they had for it, I thought looked cool visually.
That was,
really
you know, I don't think they overdid that.
right. I was expecting. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be like, oh, now all of a sudden you're gonna see this thing everywhere, and it's gonna be crazy,
Right.
And stuff like that. They
Barely
don't.
saw
They
it.
keep it around the doll, which I
Yeah,
thought was
yeah.
important. That's why I give it credit. Where a lot of movies would have gone the other way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Me personally, I would say I don't watch horror movies or scary movies because I'm a big baby about it. So I would have gave that one probably like a 3.5 only because I don't watch them that often. I don't.
You don't have a good base reading.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really have a good basis of where I stand with them. So I just say that was a good movie and it's whatever. But otherwise, it's a good movie.
That's when Dylan wasn't walking away to go throw up somewhere.
Yeah,
during the movie.
had a little bit of food sickness.
Yeah.
Didn't really feel good. So I missed a lot of it.
And you still gave it 3 stars. All right, so that's our movie review. If you haven't seen it, I mean, would you recommend somebody to go see it in the movies? Or I think I would. I think it's a fun night out. I mean, I don't. People aren't as critical as we are of some of this stuff.
You know what? I mean, everyone's different in their movie intake. Me, I could have waited to watch on DVD.
Oh yeah.
It's not one of those movies where it's like, I gotta go see it. It's something where you could watch it on DVD. You could wait and watch it on DVD.
The only movies I ever feel like that about are superhero movies, where I can't wait and I need to go to the theaters to see it. Other than that, I can pretty much wait for anything else. But when we go out and we go watch these movies, they're fun. I would.
I had a good time.
If you need something to watch and stuff like that, I wouldn't tell you not to see it. It's not that bad, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't like I walked out of there like some movies that we watched. I'm like, yo, I was a freaking waste of money.
What was the last movie we saw? You said
Deliver us
that.
from evil. Wow.
Yeah, that was fucking extreme horrible. Yeah, too many storylines going on. That was horrible.
Yeah.
That one I could have.
I wish they made a Blair Witch 3. Because the second one, when me and you watched that, I liked that movie.
I
Blair
hated
Witch-
the second one. First one
Blair
was good.
Witch, yeah,
Second
Blair
one
Witch.
Got you crazy.
A lot of people didn't like both of them.
Really?
I thought both of them were done very well, especially the first one. Even though it was like, oh man, I can't watch this, I'm getting sick. Well, stop being a bitch, okay? And have you never watched anything through a video camera before? That was the point of the movie.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of the movie. You didn't get it from a Hollywood perspective. You got it from being on the grounds with a shitty camera, walking through the woods. Sorry, but the camera's going to be jumpy. Deal with it. Yeah. They wanted, as the viewer, they wanted to put you in the scene. And that's exactly what Blair Witch did.
You know what? It was a successful movie in terms of it started that whole found footage documentary style filming.
Right.
With Cloverfield and all these other movies,
Cloverfield.
Paranormal Activity, and stuff like that. So, it did its job. I like the first one. I love it. I think it's a great film. Again, it was new. It wasn't something we'd really seen before. The second one I thought was okay.
Second one was more like a Hollywood type.
Right. It was
more staged.
More typical of what you would expect.
The cool thing I liked about Blair Witch 2, the storyline I thought was really good. The fact that all the video stuff that they brought into it, like how they were able to how the time skipped and they were able to run it back and
Yeah.
slow the footage down frame by frame, and you have this whole event take place.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Oh, that like
freaking-
crazy
was-
orgy scene where they were all
Yeah,
doing
that
that
was pretty
stuff. Yeah,
wild. You know what I'm saying?
Tore up
Like
the books and stuff.
that
and
was
stuff like that.
pretty crazy. You know, like and you hear cases where you have video cameras recording, and all of a sudden, bam, they jump ahead and they jump back. And it's
Right.
like, well, what happened in that time?
Yeah.
What exactly happened? And it's interesting. It was really they brought that aspect into it, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I like that part of it. But
Well, they jumped around too. From like they went from like first they went from the ending and then they went
it was
back. Like,
yeah, it was like back and forth.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
right. Yeah, but no, it was good. I thought it was pretty good.
If you could recommend one movie for people to watch for Halloween, what would it be?
For Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters?
Hands down. You
No,
know,
I mean
let's go-
scary movie. I mean scary.
Scary?
Yeah, like a horror movie.
All right. Are you ready for this one? If you want to watch a scary, see, my definition of scary is different from probably all three of your definitions of scary. You guys think scary as, you know, Halloween or Freddy Krueger or Friday the 13th, that kind of shit. That's not my type of scary movie. You want to watch a scary movie on Halloween night?
Session 9.
Nope. That's not bad, but no.
That's more suspenseful than scary, so shouldn't I?
Get a group of your friends together, turn all the fucking lights off, and pop in the movie Fire in the Sky. And you may not be completely scared, but good luck going to sleep at night. That's all I can say.
Sleepover. Everyone will be fine.
Yeah, they'll be
What
shitting
about
bricks.
you, Dylan?
Fire in the Sky.
I forget that one movie. I can't remember the name. I watched it when I was younger, and it was about ladies babysitting a house, and it's like a nice house deep in the woods, and it has a bunch of. It's like a glass, like you can kind of see in it, a bunch of glass windows, and like she's babysitting a kid at the same time, and like all of a sudden, someone's in the house. And it's very suspenseful. Like he calls up and he's like, you know, I'm in the house or something, and she's hiding, she's running around, and
It's
like,
not the Glass House, is it?
no, I don't think so.
It's the glass
They
house.
had a movie called
Yeah,
The Glass
they did.
I don't
House.
think it was
You can
that.
literally see in
See
the whole
inside the house. Not 13 Ghosts.
No.
No, it sounds like 13 Ghosts.
Because
too,
that's
but it's
another
not
Glass
that.
House
That was a
that
good
gets
movie. I
locked
enjoyed
up.
that one.
That was decent.
That was pretty good. I'm trying to think of a movie.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but it was suspenseful. I wouldn't say it's scary, you know, but it's suspenseful where you got like you're watching it and you're afraid like no one's in your house at the same time. You're like,
Okay.
this could happen. Like
All
this
right.
is a
See, I don't
secure
like
house.
those types of movies where this could actually happen. So
I
Right,
hate
right,
those.
right.
I don't
That's why I
do
think
those.
they're the scariest because it's
All
like,
right.
yo, this can happen right now.
Yeah. What about you, Rocco? What do you got?
First, if we find out the name of that movie, we'll post it on the YouTube or Facebook. that Dylan's talking about. Second, oh man, I'm like Dimitri. I watch too many movies. Nothing really does it for me. But
Have you ever seen Fire in the Sky?
absolutely,
That didn't do it for you? You didn't think that was creepy?
aliens are my friends.
Ah, fuck that.
Everybody's
I
got a
would
different
say-
phobia, you know?
Yeah.
The last good movie that really kept my attention, that bugged me out a little bit, Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Really good
I
movie.
think it was a really good movie.
Really good
and
movie.
it just stands the test, kind of. And if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it.
Yeah, you know, that's one movie where they took a story that really happened and they hit it. They hit it dead on. You know, you had the demonic entity in there, you had the possession, and every time she was possessed, that is exactly what would happen. Which makes that movie even more freaky than what it is, because these are based on real cases. This happens, you know, in all possession cases. So, yeah, that I would definitely agree with you on that. I have that movie on DVD at home.
The original one?
I
Are you guys
have.
talking about the original one? Didn't they make another one like
There-
I
there
think there was only
only
one made. Yeah.
like
You're
an older
thinking,
one?
You're thinking of Exorcism.
You're thinking of, or The Last Exorcism.
Last
I've seen
Exorcism,
the
something.
Because they did two of the last
The
This
Last
was different.
Exorcism Part 2.
This
seen
movie
both
was
of them.
Seriously,
really,
we're done.
No, I would definitely give you that. That movie
That
was
movie's
done
good.
extremely well, and yeah, that'll definitely make you not sleep at night.
Tell me something. Did that head actually spin around
No.
like?
No.
But didn't that
You're
happen
thinking
in the
of
movie?
you're thinking
You're
of
thinking
Exorcist.
of Exorcist,
Exorcist.
right? Which sucked. Absolutely
Their
sucked.
head never spun like this.
I
and she
saw
threw
that
up.
in
That's Exorcist. You're talking about.
2000. They remade that movie.
They re-released
The only
it. Yeah.
movie I ever walked out of in the movie theater was that movie.
What?
I
And not
was
because you
watching
were
it.
scared like everybody
No,
else was leaving.
I walked out because I was like, this is ridiculous. After the person was walking down the stairwell backwards, like in like scorpion type mode, I was just like, I can't watch this anymore. Like, I could be doing other things better than this. And I walked out of the movie. That movie sucked. You couldn't pay me to
When
watch
it came out in 2000 is what you're talking
The
It
about?
was
remake,
re-released.
the
It was
remake,
re-released.
right.
Is that when it like turned into a whole cult thing?
cleaned
And
it up.
like
It was
sucked.
it's a cult classic
Yeah,
in
it
general.
is, right.
The original '70s one was a cult classic.
But
That's
no,
what made Linda
definitely
Blair's career.
next to Emily Rose, yeah, I'd give that one too.
For sure.
What about you?
Movie that freaks me out, and I've seen Fire and Sky, and I don't know why it doesn't affect me as much as this one. Signs, man. Signs gets to me for some reason.
Signs was,
I think
Signs
because
was-
it wasn't overdone.
it wasn't, what? Signs had a great beginning, great middle. You know what? Instead of rushing the ending, and I always say this with that movie, take an extra 20 minutes and wrap it up a different way instead of having some guy beat the shit out of it with a bat. I'm sorry,
right.
but they killed the ending you had a great movie going for yourself. And it was just like, all right, you know what, guys? We got to wrap this up in 5 minutes. How can we do it? That's how he ends his movie. And it's like, you had a great movie.
Right.
A great movie. And, I don't know. He could end it better. I think he could
I
end
like it
better.
there. But if you're to, my suggestion for a fun movie to watch is Trick or Treat. I think that movie's a fantastic
I
fun.
haven't seen it.
Just a fun anthology horror movie. It's got like werewolves in it and ghosts.
All
and a
right,
little bit of
you know what?
everything.
Monster
And then
Squad.
And then it comes. Oh, Monster Squad's fun.
You guys see Monster Squad?
Goonies. No.
Monster Squad. Great movie. Absolutely great movie. If you've never seen it, watch it. It's probably from like the 80s.
It's 80s, 86, I believe.
But you know what? It was, if not so much female-wise, but if you're a guy, you can remember as a kid doing all of this types of shit, and it just brings that back. I remember doing that. After watching that movie, shit, I wanted to go look for monsters and take them over and beat them down, whatever it was. I wanted to do that, and now here I am, 20 years later, and I run a paranormal. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those types of movies. Monster Squad is definitely a great classic movie. Awesome movie.
You know what movie I can't sit through, and I would have to change mine? The Grudge. I cannot sit
Never
through 1,
seen
2,
it.
or 3. Dude, I cannot sit through it. I change the channel, I pee, I run. I hate that movie.
What about The
Grudge.
Ring?
The Ring, I can't do that either.
They're
I
okay.
can't do that either.
I don't like the American versions.
Ringu.
I watch Ringu. I watch the Japanese versions.
Okay.
Those are fantastic. Watch the. You know what movie's really cool? It's a Taiwanese movie. Me and Rob watched it a long time ago together, and it's about spirit photography.
Okay.
And this guy is going through. His friends are dying. He doesn't know what to do. He's trying to figure it out. He's always going like this, and he's seeing this ghost, and it's chasing him. He's always stressed out and stuff like that. And he's got this one camera that he's always finding. He's always getting pictures, like parts of it, and he's trying to piece it together. And I don't want to spoil the ending for those of you that haven't watched it. It's called Spirit Photography. Look the movie up and check it out. It's a foreign film. It's got subtitles. Sorry guys, you have to read, but it's fantastic. You should totally watch it. It does not have a cheap ending like you'd expect.
Right.
The guy doesn't win at the end. He doesn't get away from the ghost. It's just he has to live with it. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a really good movie.
Okay.
I definitely recommend checking it out.
Very cool.
But all right, so that's pretty much all we have time for. But let's do this evidence vault
Yeah,
that we're
let's do the
continuing.
evidence. Absolutely.
So right here we have part 2 of the I'm Burning, which
Okay.
is 9 seconds as opposed to last week's 6. So we'll hit play, and you guys can listen to this right now.
If somebody is here, please give us a sign that you're here with us.
Mike, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. Once again, this is part of that long clip. I think the full clip is like 1:45 seconds. Once again, you can pretty much hear it clear as day. I'm burning, and it definitely goes along with the storyline of the location. Basically, the urban legend is that there was either a military hospital or a psychiatric hospital on the grounds, and it burnt down 3 times. Nobody knew what the cause was of when it burnt down, and after the 3rd time they decided not to rebuild it. Some people believe that, going with the psych center story, that there was a patient named Mary, and she broke out and she burnt it down multiple times because it basically was a form of revenge of what was happening to her while she was in there. Whether that's a storyline or not, we don't really know, but the fact that we got these recordings is definitely interesting. So yeah, we can play it again for you. Once again, I'm burning.
All right, play this one more time.
If somebody is here, please give us a sign that you're here with us.
So
All
there
right,
you have it.
so there it is. All right, guys, that's all we have time for today. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Ghost News Network. Join us next week, same ghost time, same ghost channel, as I always say. And for those of you that, I think next weekend will be November, I believe, right?
No, still is it?
Oh no, we got the.
Well, yeah, no, I think
We
you're
got
right.
the 26th.
Yeah.
Nope, you're
Yeah,
right.
no, you're right. You're right.
November.
Today's the 26th.
Today's
Dylan.
the 26th.
Yes.
Oops.
So it'll be November. So you guys have a safe and happy Halloween, and that's it. Have a great night, everybody. Take
Have
care.
a good night.